Well, hello, model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ral, and here we are. I'm going to get into this restoration here of this 1960 Thunderbird. It's an AMT kit here. But before I do that, I would just like to say thank you to everybody who's supported the channel and everything that you guys do with the like, share, subscribe, and all your comments and everything. I really do appreciate it. And also, if you can check out our sponsor, Hobby Nut Models, there'll be a link in the video description below. They've recently stocked up on some great kits here, and there's been a lot of new releases that have just recently come out. I've got a number of kits coming myself, and they'll be showing up on the channel. But you guys take a moment and check them out as well, because they help support the channel, and it's another way to help support everything. Anyways, you guys, if you've been following along on the channel, you know I love my Thunderbirds and Squarebirds, and this is, I'd have to say, you know, one of the highlights of one of the ones I built here, because I really like how this one came out. And I did it a number of years ago, but this is a 60 Thunderbird Convertible. And while it was one of the biggest production years for Thunderbird, which sealed the fate of the four-seater Thunderbird and the luxury car status that came along with it, just the production just absolutely jumped. And I always think of these as kind of like one of the first cars that kind of blends the formula of a muscle car, but it's not, but it is, in the respect that it's not really marketed as a muscle car or a performance car, but you know, it does have some of the boxes. Has the most powerful engines that were available at the time. The 352 engine was 300 horsepower, which is pretty respectable for a 1960. And that came out in 58 actually. But also available in the 60 Thunderbird and 59 Thunderbird was the 430 cubic inch Mel engine, which is Mercury, Edsel, and Lincoln. But it was available in the Thunderbird as well, pretty rare. But that only produced 350 horsepower. But at the same time, thinking about what was available in 1960, this was one of the lightest cars available, although the Falcon did come out that year, so as a compact, but the Thunderbird was definitely smaller than all the rest of the 60 Fords in their lineup. But the lineup was really starting to expand and everything. But it's just kind of fun to think about that, plus this car being full-on unibody construction. There's no frame. It's pure unibody. I mean, you know, they kind of show it in the model kit. I mean, there's no frame. It's all welded together. It's all sheet metal. The fenders are welded on. There's no seams here. I could tell you, knowing the real cars, that there's actually, you know, leaded seams right here where all this comes together. Ironically, on the real car, there's a body line like right here. It's not blended in where it's all folded together, but it's part of the fender. And same thing all back here. It's all unibody style construction. But at the same time, these things were kind of rust prone too. They're kind of a problem with that. But when it came to me focusing on this build, I really wanted an eye-popping, I wanted a metallic color, because metallics were starting to really come out. Weren't very popular in you know, 1960 or 59, but they were available on some of these cars. Now, they did have some of their other problems that came along with the metallic colors from back then, because they did use real metal shavings in the paint. So sometimes these would actually, the paint would actually rust, and it would be the metallic flakes actually rusting. Where today's metallic paints, it's not really metal. It's interesting how that works. Some are metal, some are not. But in modern paints, they're mostly not metal, actual metal. So it's kind of funny how that has evolved as well. But I really went to town on this one. I added the Continental kit to it, a trunk-mounted antenna, added the soft top, which this actually didn't come with the kit. And I went with the leather interior. The only real difference, leather interior was available in 60 versus the vinyl, was the leather interiors, they had like the same pattern and everything, but they weren't two-tone. The entire seats were the same color. So by doing that, it made it a little easier to do this. I kind of cheated. instead of two-toning the interior. But it's still got the white steering wheel. I do see some with other color steering wheels, and then all the chrome on there, the white gauges. The gauges were different each year. 58 had black gauges, 59 had white gauges, but there was some trim on there where the knobs were actually gold, and in 60 the gauges were white, but all of the trim around it was actually silver. And a lot of the knobs, the plastic knob was still white or black, but the center insert piece, they were white, or not white, they were silver or gold, 59 being gold and 60 being silver. So it's kind of funny how some of that has changed, or each year. But this thing was a blast to build. It was a bit of work. Did the chrome package, which is why the hood scoop has foil on it. The headlight bezels are foiled, where some cars you see that they're just painted body color. These ones are chromed. The Continental kit, of course, but then these wings right here, the fender extensions, those are chromed, so that were all part of the chrome package. I did the rear trunk mounted antenna, and then also I did dual mirrors, which mirrors were optional on these, but they were dealer installed, so they could be mounted anywhere in any acceptable mirror. So it's kind of funny how that goes. And also right here where the wipers are, there's the piece there was either body color or chrome right underneath the wiper. The wiper arm was still stainless, and so was the blade. And another thing with this one, it's got a motor. So this hood's a little awkward. The real car, the hood folds up like this. The front piece tucks down and the top pieces go up and over. So that's how it opens. But this one, it does have hinges. It's a little awkward, but I'll just lift it off. But there's that 352 engine. And here's a little secret with what Ford was doing in the early 60s, late 50s, early 60s. The valve covers were painted certain colors. So a lot of the motors were black. In 60 they were black. All the Thunderbirds were 300 horse with the yellow valve covers and white air cleaner. And the whole engine was black. It's kind of funny, but the 58 engine was all blue, and the black valve covers and a white air cleaner, and the fans were white. That's why I painted the fans white. And 59, they went to the all black motors, but the 59 had blue valve covers. And I've seen some with blue air cleaners and some with white air cleaners. Not 100% sure what's correct there. This one's a non-air car because the AC would be right behind it, the expansion tank. But this represents a 352, and it's got the washer bag right there. So a lot of nice details here, the battery, and a lot of it in some of the right spots too. Got the fender side ornaments and everything. And so this one, I like how it came out. So let's go ahead and take this outside, and we'll see what it looks like in the Arizona sun, and we'll come back in and continue on. I'll tell you more about the build. Well, here we are out in the Arizona sun with this 60 Thunderbird Convertible here. And I love this paint and this color, especially in the sun, and all the chrome accents and highlights that are on this thing here. And that rear antenna. So I did this one as like a fully dressed up 60 Thunderbird. But she looks great. Speaking of being out in the Arizona sun, let's take that top off. We don't need that here. Here we go. All right, these I just love how they look as a convertible, and the triple taillights that the 60 Thunderbird has, and chrome. I did it with the leather interior, which give it a little bit of a glittery look too. More vinyl, but they did have a leather option, so I dressed this one up as, but that Continental kit just looks so good. All right, like how long it actually looks. Pretty sleek car for how it looked in 1959, and compared to all the other 59 Fords, or 60 Fords. Considering this body style came out in 58, 60 is the last year. But yeah, look at that. All right. Chrome hood screw, chrome headlight covers. It's all part of the chrome package. All right, well, I'll head this back inside and continue on. All right, so when it came to restoring this, I had some that were a challenge and a lot of glue parts. It seems like a good chunk of these, for most reasons, when you see the original kit, there are a lot of parts. But when it comes to restoring these stock, there's not a whole lot of parts. Well, this one, the 60, there's a lot more to it. But the 59, the hood is molded shut and there's no engine and the chassis plate is all there. But this one, the engine is visible versus the 59. One of the things that I had problems with was finding these hood hinges with the kits. A lot of them had hoods, but finding those hood hinges and some of the little parts. Some you can find in later ones, but like this overflow and the valve covers that say Ford. Later ones, the kits have the Thunderbird, which I like the Thunderbird valve covers, but they're not technically correct for these. This radiator, just some of these underhood parts, they're just kind of hard to find. And then on top of it, once this windshield is glued in, it looks kind of funny and it's hard to get it off. So a lot of them, broken windshield frames, are trying to get the windshield out, glued in solid. One thing, if you don't know these cars, the fact that there's no bare metal foil on the bottom here around the windshield, that's how the real cars were. The windshield actually mounted farther behind, and these were the cowl pieces. They actually unbolted. So you had to unbolt them, and the windshield was sealed a little bit farther below. So it hid the rubber seal, and there was no chrome there. So it looks kind of awkward sometimes, but if you don't know the cars, that's how they were. But there's a mold line that should be here, but it's not there. And also, but since that's the way it was, I pretty much just left it, kept it to where it was. Another thing, if you don't know these Thunderbirds, there's no convertible boot because this is all hydraulic, electronic and hydraulic. It all lifts completely up and the whole top folds into the trunk and comes back down. So there's no convertible boot. But that's how they designed all of these T-Birds, 58 all the way to 66. The convertibles were designed that way. And I think it's cool and nice and clean, but it looks like the roof was cut off. And many people have made convertibles out of hardtops by cutting the roofs off. However, there is additional bracing that the convertibles have in the rockers here that actually box up and reinforce the bodies even further. You cannot see it though in the real cars because it is all hidden behind all of the external sheet metal. It's built into the car. So those that have cut corners and cut roofs off to make what looks like a convertible, but the trunk opens the normal way, the bracing isn't there, and they tend to sag, and then the doors get really hard to open and close, and these things already have rust issues to begin with. Another unique thing with the convertibles is the trunk only opens up the backwards way, so it's kind of hard to put all your stuff in there as far as putting your groceries and your stuff. So you gotta get used to using it. The hard tops, the trunk opens the normal way, so even though it has the trunk emblem here, it really doesn't do much anything because the keyhole would be there and everything, but it's not used. Antenna is pretty cool. That's just something I'd write. Now, one of the things that I'm missing from here, I'd like to add the sunray covers here. There's some decals that are in the 59 retractable kit. I picked a kit or two up, but I haven't added those here. All the chrome has been restored and redone. This was done a long time ago, but it all had to be redone. And these tires, they're from Model Haus as well. So a number of parts collected to do all of this stuff. And then finding this Continental kit, which I did it the way the real cars were. 60 was kind of a funny year. 60 has this really long Thunderbird script on the side, and it was only used in 1960. It's a big emblem. But the Thunderbird script right here appeared on the 57 Thunderbirds and 58 and 59s. They weren't used on 60, and then they reappeared for the 61 and later T-Birds. So 60 has its own unique one on the door, but it used the same emblem and Thunderbird script on the Continental kit from Ford from factory, but he used 59 emblems. So that's why this one is done this way. But many Continental kits were added, aftermarket ones, so there's a lot of differences there. 60 has a lot of other differences as well. Grill, the emblems, the bird emblems are different. So a lot of the emblems are unique to that particular year. And so are the taillights. I didn't mention that. 60 has 3 taillights on each side. And one of the unique things too is the inner one here has a backup light. But that is an option. So if you see one of these that has all red taillights, that's probably factory, but just doesn't have the backup light option. A lot of them did get the backup light option though, so most of them you're going to see will have that backup light in there, and it has its own special lens. But it is, one of the unique things. But it was an option, so it is possible to find it without. So anyways, I figured I would share this one with you. It's been in my stash, finished for a long time. I had that other 60 T-Bird. I showed you that one. I did that one as a sunroof car. I picked up many more of these. Every time I find a good one, a great candidate, I tend to pick them up, and I just picked up all those other ones I showed in previous videos. And I'll probably do another 60 convertible. I actually have the 60 kit issued Continental kit, which is not technically correct for the car, but it's correct for the kit. But anyways, I figure I would share all this. Oh, one more thing before I forget. This top here, because I do get asked where I get these tops from. This is an AMT part. It actually came in the 65 Thunderbird kit. So you see my Thunderbirds they've got the up tops. Now I've scoured eBay over the years, and when they pop up separately and they're in good shape, I picked them up. So I've got 3 of them. I've got this white one. I got one I painted black, and then I've got my turquoise one on the 58. So that's where they came from, but they don't actually come in these kits. They were only in the 65 kit. And so they're a little bit harder to find, but I managed to scare up those 3, and I really haven't messed with them much since then. But anyways, you guys, thanks for tuning in, subscribing, and all your comments and everything. I really do appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.